Okay, so I want to make this video discussing how 95%, 98% of the actors in the upcoming Wakanda Forever movie are basically British African, first generation African immigrants, or Native Africans. Now, I know some casteist Africans are going to have an issue with this, and their response is that Black Panther is set in Africa and it's African characters. But this ideology, this attitude basically exposes them and the caste system because one, it implies that we're not Africans. These casteist Africans like to consider us not African and they like to consider us African, and then they pivot to either one when convenient. When they want to play our historical figures, when they want to play us, when they're monopolizing all of these roles, they will throw out the African unity card that we're all African and it doesn't matter. But when in situations like this, they say that we're not African, right? Because if it's if all these casteist Africans are being hired because Black Panther Wakanda is set in Africa, it's African characters, shouldn't that not matter if we're also African? Okay, so that's not an excuse. So that just exposes the caste system. Then the second thing that it implies is a continuation of the first is that only native Black Africans should be playing these roles, right? Well, if that's the case, doesn't that mean that only FBA should be playing FBA? If only Africans should be playing Africans, or when there's this significant connection with African culture, that means that only FBA should be playing FBA when there's a significant connection with FBA or let's say Native Black American culture, right? That way it wouldn't be there wouldn't be this double standard. But of course there is, and that's because of the caste system. It's the caste system that's letting them monopolize these roles. And I even noticed that these casteist Africans, these British Africans, Native African, these African immigrants are filling up all these other movie roles as well. And the caste system enables them to do that. Another way we can highlight this caste system is that look at the Jewish American population. Jewish Americans are only 2%, about 2% of the population, but they're in like 80, 90% of all movies, of all TV shows, and a significant amount of them are directors, the major directors. How is that possible? That can't just be talent. 2% of the population and maybe like 80, 90% of this media, they're either a main character, a secondary character, or the director. So that is the caste system. Jewish people have monopolized the industry and now they prefer and prioritize or go out of their way to cherry pick Jewish people for these positions and these roles. It's the same thing that's happening with these casteist Africans. Now, since these Jewish people and these casteist, like waspy types, have allied with these British people, Anglo British and African British, and these Australians, they have created this like elitist, casteist um, group that has monopolized the industry. Now these casteist Africans, they're filling up these casting, they're becoming the casting directors, they're becoming the directors, and they're um, choosing themselves first, right? They're just how these Jewish people are choosing themselves first, and these British people are choosing themselves first, and these Australians are choosing themselves first. These Africans are choosing themselves first. Are these casteist people are choosing each other first, which is how they have monopolized the industry. And they expect us to just go into college debt or become prison laborers while letting a few of us trickle in so we can be tokens and shield so we don't so the caste system isn't totally revealed. It's the same things with these Filipino nurses. The white caste people said, "Hey, we have a good thing going with exploiting Native U.S. Americans. How can we keep this going?" So they basically brought in Filipino nurses. Now, I don't have a problem with Filipino nurses, but these Filipinos, they were prioritized. They were let in through the back door, and now these Filipino nurses hire other Filipinos. Now, on some level, that's natural. It's natural for, I'm sure, FBA hire their cousins or their siblings or their friends. But it's going beyond that. These Filipino nurses are prioritizing and preferring not just their friends and families, okay, one or two, but they're strictly hiring Filipinos, which is casteism, right? And it's the same thing with these programmers, okay? Again, the white castists, they said, we got a good thing going on. Let's bring in these these South Asian programmers, as if we can't become programmers. They would rather create these whole programs where they could use that money to train us to be programs, put programming programs in high schools, or give grants or scholarships for college that focus on programming. No, they want to bring in these South Asian programmers who come in through the back door, and now they're hiring themselves, right? Like, I wouldn't have a problem with this if a South Asian immigrated here and we both went through an interview and then the South Asian got the job, because that's the current system. It's competitive, and uh, people can immigrate all around the world, but that's not what's happening. They created special visas for them, which are basically free passes or entries into the back door, and or they're just cherry picked. Okay, there is no competition. It's just casteism, which is happening with these um, Africans now, and it happened with the Jewish people, and now this industry is completely being monopolized by these castes. So if you see casteist Africans kissing the butt of white caste people, of Jewish caste people, you know why. If you see more and more roles being filled by African immigrants, you know why. And they know that the system is rigged to dictate us into roles, into boxes, into economic positions. But now we know that they know.